My wife cheated for 2 years and tried to take my money by posing me as psycho. Well, guess how that ended? You ever sit across from someone at dinner, smiling and passing the salt, knowing you're about to erase their entire existence? Yeah, that was my Thursday. My name is Marcus. I'm 38, and I run a medical aesthetics clinic that somehow became the go-to spot in our city. I'm talking chemical peels, laser treatments, microneedling, the works. Not bragging, well, maybe a little, but when you've spent years perfecting your craft, you start to feel like an artist with a scalpel. Clean work, satisfied clients, zero drama. That's how I liked it. At least, that's how it used to be. My wife, Victoria, runs a boutique floral design company. The kind where a simple arrangement means $4,000 and orchids flown in from Thailand. We'd been married 14 years. On the surface, everything looked perfect. Successful careers, beautiful home, 2 daughters. The American dream, right? Olivia, our oldest, just turned 16. Sophie's 13. Good kids, smart, or at least that's what I thought. Then there's Daniel, my younger brother. 35, self-proclaimed chill guy, which usually translates to lazy unless something benefits him directly. He works for the city in waste management, basically oversees garbage collection routes and contract vendors. Not glamorous, but steady income. Recently divorced from Christine, who honestly deserved way better than him. When he first told us about the divorce, I asked him point blank, what happened? Because you don't just throw away 9 years of marriage over nothing. He'd shrug, scroll through his phone, mumble something like, we just grew apart, or she didn't get me anymore. First few times, I thought maybe it was too painful to talk about. But after the 10th dodge, I realized he just didn't want to say it out loud. And knowing Daniel, whatever happened probably wasn't pretty. Here's the thing. Daniel and I were never close growing up. We tolerated each other. He was the kind of kid who'd take your stuff without asking, break it, then act like you were overreacting when you got mad. So when he started showing up at my house constantly after his divorce, it felt off. I remember one night Victoria saying, "Family supports family, Marcus. He's going through a rough time." Sure, except I couldn't remember Daniel being this interested in family when I went through rough times. Still, I didn't push back. The girl seemed happy having him around, and honestly, it made Victoria happy, so I let it slide. At first, it was small things, but small things add up. I started noticing patterns. Daniel always seemed to visit when I was working late or had appointments running long, and when I'd cancel last minute, Victoria would text me, "Oh, we already invited Daniel for dinner. He's coming anyway." Like it was normal. I told myself not to be that guy, the jealous, paranoid husband creating problems out of nothing. Victoria wasn't like that. She was loyal, driven, focused on building her business. Daniel? Maybe he was just lonely. That's what I wanted to believe. But somewhere deep down, something started buzzing, like a low-frequency hum in the back of my mind. The kind you try to ignore but keeps getting louder. And I should have listened, because what came next made me realize that sometimes when you think your life is solid, it's just because you haven't looked closely enough to see the foundation crumbling. It started with a noise around 1 a.m. I got up for water and saw light spilling from the kitchen down the hallway. Victoria was sitting at the island, smiling out her phone like she just read the most beautiful thing in the world. I leaned against the doorframe, planning an early morning delivery or something? She jumped slightly, then smiled. Just a client issue, big corporate event tomorrow. They changed the entire color scheme last minute. Must be some dedicated client texting you at 1 a.m. She sighed, feigning exhaustion. Florists don't have normal hours, Marcus. You know that. Fair enough. I went back to bed. But the next morning, I checked her phone while she was in the shower. The entire message thread was gone. Not archived, not muted, deleted completely. I'm not the controlling type, but that felt strange. If you're really discussing business, why wipe it clean? A few days later, another weird moment. I was outside grabbing the mail when our neighbor, Mrs. Bennett, waved from her porch. She's the type who knows everyone's business, but means well. Tell Victoria I loved seeing her at that new bistro on 6th Street the other day. You two looked so cozy together. I paused. I wasn't there. Her smile faded slightly. Oh, maybe it was your brother, then. They do look alike. You two were sitting pretty close. She laughed it off. Guess I mixed it up. I smiled politely, but my stomach dropped through the floor. When Victoria came home that evening, I asked casually, "Hey, did you grab lunch with Daniel this week?" She froze, just for half a second, then recovered. "Oh, you mean when he helped me load supplies into the van? Yeah, we stopped for coffee after." "Why?" "Just asking. Mrs. Bennett thought she saw you two together. You know how she loves to gossip." I expected her to laugh it off. Instead, her tone turned sharp. "You're really listening to nosy neighbors now? Maybe if you trusted me more, you wouldn't sound like some insecure teenager." I just nodded slowly. Noted. She grabbed her purse and left the room, muttering something about how exhausting it was being married to someone so suspicious. Funny, I thought, considering she was the one deleting texts at 1 in the morning. The next day, I texted Daniel. "Need to talk, just us." He replied instantly. "Sure thing, bro. Coffee?" We met at a cafe downtown. He walked in smiling like he'd just won the lottery. "Man, you look stressed. We're getting to you again?" I didn't waste time. I'm going to be direct. "What's going on with you and Victoria lately?" He blinked. "What do you mean?" "You're around a lot. She's laughing at your jokes more than mine. You're hanging out alone. Don't play dumb." Daniel leaned back and laughed, that fake brotherly laugh he used when cornered. "Wow, you seriously think something's happening? That's wild, man. She's just been helping me through the divorce. That's it. You need to relax." I smirked. "Yeah, because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're getting way too comfortable. Hands in my fridge, feet in my backyard, and apparently on my wife's lunch schedule." He stopped smiling. "You're paranoid. You think every woman who talks to me wants me?" "No," I said calmly. "I think one specific woman might, and that woman happens to be my wife. So let me be crystal clear, Daniel. If you're trying anything, I won't argue or beg. I'll just end it fast. You understand me?" He went quiet, tried to laugh it off again, but failed this time. "You've changed, man." I leaned forward. "No, I just started paying attention." He muttered something about me losing my mind and left. I sat there for a while, sipping my coffee. My hands weren't shaking. I wasn't angry. I was calm. Too calm, maybe. That night, Victoria acted like everything was normal, made salmon, talked about a client who wanted 1,000 white roses for a proposal setup. I nodded along, pretending to listen, but my brain was somewhere else, replaying Daniel's face when I confronted him. He looked guilty, not shocked, guilty. That told me everything I needed to know. I didn't confront anyone again, not yet. I smiled, joked around, played the perfect husband, but inside, I was done pretending. When my conference came up the following week, I packed deliberately, double-checked my laptop, my phone, the notes I'd been keeping. I told Victoria I'd be gone for 3 days. She smiled and kissed my cheek. "Don't stress too much." I smiled back. "I won't." As I drove off, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Daniel's truck was parked 2 blocks away, half hidden behind a tree, and that's when I stopped wondering. The conference was supposed to last 3 full days, but by the second morning, the keynote speaker canceled and half the sessions got pushed back. Great news for everyone else. For me, it meant I'd be home a day early. On the drive back, I thought about surprising Victoria, maybe picking up her favorite macarons from that French bakery she loved, reset whatever weird tension had been building up between us. That's the thing about suspicion. You want to prove yourself wrong. You want normal back. I stopped by her shop first. Her van wasn't there. Weird, since she'd mentioned prepping for a huge wedding order all week. Inside, her assistant looked up from arranging tulips and smiled brightly. "Oh, hey, Mr. Lawson. Victoria isn't in today. She took a personal day." Personal day. That phrase landed wrong. Victoria never took personal days. She bragged about working through migraines, colds, even holidays. I forced a smile. "Did she say where she went?" The assistant shrugged. "Just that she needed a break." "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I said quickly. "Just surprised. Her van's not here." On the drive home, the macarons on the passenger seat felt heavier than they should. When I pulled into the driveway, the house was silent. No music, no TV, no Victoria. Her car was gone. I set the macarons on the counter and went to grab my bag from the car. That's when I noticed Victoria's tablet sitting on the kitchen counter, screen still lit. She never left it behind. The screen showed some app running in the background. I almost ignored it. Almost. But then a notification banner slid across the top. New photos added, private album. I don't know what made me tap it, but the second that album opened, my entire world stopped. The first image was Victoria in our bedroom, my bedroom. She was wearing the silk set I'd given her for our anniversary. The angle was wrong, like it was taken from my side of the bed. A man's tattooed arm was half visible at the edge of the frame, hand on her waist. I didn't need to guess whose arm that was. Daniel. I scrolled, photo after photo, hotel rooms, my couch, my garage. They were timestamps too. One from the weekend I'd been at that dermatology expo in Miami, another from the evening I stayed late for a celebrity client consultation. 2 years worth of evidence staring right back at me, methodically organized. I don't know how long I stood there, frozen. My body didn't even shake. It was like my brain switched to autopilot, the same calm I get when a client has an allergic reaction mid-treatment. Assess, react, don't panic. I opened the folder list. That's when it got worse. Each set of photos was labeled with my schedule. Conference week, evening clink hours, Miami trip. It wasn't just an affair, it was organized, planned, like a project they'd been managing behind my back. I kept scrolling and found screenshots of messages between Victoria and Daniel. Victoria, Marcus bought the new equipment story again. We've got the whole weekend. Daniel, Olivia deleted the security footage like you asked. Sophie's covering tomorrow. Told her I'm taking her to the mall. My kids, my daughters, helping them hide it. Olivia deleting camera footage. Sophie lying to my face about shopping trips. I just stared at the screen feeling nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just a quiet, cold realization that my entire life had been rearranged behind my back. I backed out of the photos and looked through more hidden albums, more screenshots, more messages. A folder labeled mental health documentation. Inside were half-filled forms, fake psychiatric notes, my name at the top. Patient display signs of obsessive behavior and delusional paranoia. Wife reports concerns about erratic work habits and fixation on perceived threats. It hit me like ice water. They weren't just cheating, they were building a case. If I ever caught them, they'd make me look insane. That was the first time my hands trembled. I studied them on the counter, closed the album, and exhaled slowly through my nose. I copied everything. Photos, messages, documents. Uploaded them to a secure cloud folder, then emailed the files to a backup account I created years ago. 3 different backups. As I worked, the house stayed quiet. Outside, I heard the faint crunch of tires on gravel, a car pulling up. My heart jumped, but I didn't rush. I closed every app, cleared the history, and placed the tablet exactly where it had been, angled slightly toward the counter's edge, home button facing the kitchen entrance. The front door opened. Victoria's voice floated in cheerfully. Marcus, you're home early. I turned toward the sink, coffee mug in hand. Conference got cut short. Thought I'd surprise you. Daniel's deeper voice followed, laughing. Oh man, you scared me. Didn't expect you back till tomorrow. I took a sip of coffee. Yeah, surprise. Olivia and Sophie came in behind them, chatting about some school project. Olivia's eyes flicked to the tablet, then to me. Her shoulders relaxed when she saw it untouched. Dad, can you help me with my physics homework later? Sure thing, I said calmly. My voice didn't crack, my hands didn't shake. I smiled, steady as stone. But first, how about we all sit down for dinner tonight? Real family meal, no phones. Really? Victoria said, surprised but smiling. That's sweet. Daniel grinned. See, this is why you're the best brother, man. Always about family. Yeah, I said, nodding. Always. Inside, my mind was already cataloging everything. Dates, messages, their patterns, their mistakes. That night, while they all laughed around the dinner table, I smiled and made small talk, but I wasn't part of that world anymore. I was already outside it, quietly planning my next move. And the first name on my list was Christine. It had been years since I'd spoken to her, but if anyone knew what Daniel was really like when the mask slipped, it would be her. I found her number buried in an old family group text. My thumb hovered over the call button for a second before I pressed it. She picked up after the third ring. Marcus, what do you want? Her tone was cold, sharp, like she'd been waiting for someone to test her patience. Hey, Christine, I know it's been a while. I just needed to ask you something about Daniel. Silence. Then a bitter laugh. If this is about money or favors, forget it. I want nothing to do with that cheater.
That word, cheater. It snapped me out of the polite tone I'd planned. Wait, cheater? She exhaled hard, clearly irritated. Don't tell me you didn't know. He slept with at least 3 women before we split. Maybe more. One of them was married. I didn't even get the full story. The guy's addicted to validation. Doesn't care who he destroys. I froze. So it wasn't just you drifting apart. Oh, please, she scoffed. He'd flirt with a lamp if it gave him attention, always playing victim when he gets caught. I'm guessing he's already charming your wife, too, right? That's his pattern. Pretend he's the misunderstood younger brother. That made everything click into place, like puzzle pieces finally snapping together. The visits, the family dinners, the fake sympathy after his divorce. It all made sense now. He wasn't broken. He was hunting. Thanks, Christine, I said quietly. You helped more than you know. I doubt that, she muttered. Just don't end up like me. He ruins everything he touches. Then she hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time. The anger wasn't loud anymore. It was clean, focused. I wasn't just betrayed. I'd been played by two amateurs who thought they were smarter than me. That night, I watched Victoria while she scrolled on her phone, laughing softly at something, probably texting him. I didn't even feel hurt anymore, just curious. Like a scientist studying a dangerous specimen. Something funny? I asked. She smiled without looking up. Just memes. Sophie sent me one. Cute, I said, and went back to my laptop. Inside, I was already building the first part of my plan. Over the next week, I acted normal. Better than normal, actually. I helped Sophie with her science project, drove Olivia to her dance practice, cooked dinner, even told Victoria she looked beautiful. Every move was calculated to make them think I'd gone back to being the easy, distracted husband. Meanwhile, I was working late every night, not on clinic schedules, on surveillance. I'd spent years in tech-savvy circles through my clinic's management systems and patient databases. It wasn't hard to set up something discreet. I bought a small network monitoring device, customized it, and integrated it into our home Wi-Fi system. One night, while Victoria folded laundry, I said casually, "Hey, I read something about data breaches targeting medical offices. Thinking of upgrading our home network security." She smiled. "Oh, that's smart. You and your tech toys." "Yeah," I said casually. "Wouldn't want anyone snooping on our information." She nodded, distracted. She had no idea I'd just given myself access to every device in the house. By the next morning, my laptop was quietly pulling backups from their cloud accounts. Same family sharing network, same passwords they'd used for years. Within days, I knew everything. Every deleted message, every photo hidden in albums, every lie. One night, while scrolling through their synced messages, I saw a text from Daniel pop up on my screen in real time. He'd written, "He's getting suspicious again. You need to dial it back." A few minutes later, Victoria replied, "I am dialing it back. He's too busy with the clinic. If he gets paranoid, we'll use that against him." Then Daniel followed up, "Still have the paperwork from the therapist?" And Victoria answered, "Yeah, I'm documenting everything." The obsession angle is working perfectly. The more I read, the twisted it became. They weren't just sleeping together. They were planning a setup. My late nights at the clinic, they called them episodes. My inventory management at the office, hoarding behavior. Even my attention to detail was labeled compulsive. They were laying groundwork to make me look unstable. Daniel had a contact at city offices, probably ready to help fast-track some kind of emergency protective order if I ever snapped. They'd take the business, the house, and leave me labeled mentally unfit. It was so organized, it almost impressed me. Almost. I didn't tell anyone, didn't confront. I just kept gathering evidence. Every message got saved, every document backed up. One evening, Daniel stopped by while I was grilling steaks. He leaned against the patio railing, smirking. "Man, Victoria says you've been pretty chill lately. Good to see you're relaxed again." I looked up from the grill, met his eyes, and smiled. "Yeah, you know me. I stay grounded." He laughed, completely missing the irony. That night, after everyone went to bed, I sat in my office with the lights off and the computer screen glowing in the dark.
Folder after folder of proof, all neatly labeled. My whole life reduced to data points, timestamps, names, transactions, betrayals. I stared at the screen, thinking about how easily two people can build a lie if you trust them enough. That's when it hit me. I wasn't married to a wife. I was living inside a carefully constructed trap. And now I was going to dismantle it piece by piece. I started with money. Victoria always bragged about handling our household finances, but that was only because I let her. Every business deposit, every transfer from my clinic still went through an account I'd opened years ago under my name alone. I began quietly rerouting profits from new clients and product sales into a separate business account, legally mine, invisible to her. Next came the assets, the clinic equipment, the home laser devices, the massage table in the spare room, all technically business property. I listed them as upgrades being rotated out and sold them through a wholesale medical supply site. Cash only. By the time I was done, nearly $50,000 had quietly changed form. While Victoria texted Daniel about keeping me distracted, I was sitting in my office creating the kind of paper trail that would make him choke. He used his city job like a playground. He handled vendor contracts and had purchasing card access for outside services, made it easy to slip fake invoices through. I knew how careless he was with passwords, so I accessed his work files through a backup email he'd stupidly left on my shared desktop years ago. Within hours, I found everything I needed: his digital signature, client templates, invoice formats. I used them to build a chain of fabricated transactions, all under his name, all pointing to embezzlement. They weren't even really fake, just exaggerated versions of the scams he was already running. I made them look professional, stamped, dated, organized into one neat digital folder. Then I sent everything, contracts, statements, payment records, to the city's internal auditor, the state comptroller, and the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. All anonymous tips. The beauty of it? Every single number in those files traced back to his real accounts. And then the timing hit perfectly. I was printing out final backup reports when my phone rang. Unknown number, local area code. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something told me to answer. Marcus, I voice said, hesitating. It's Mitchell, from high school. I'm an attorney now. Mitchell. I hadn't heard that name in years. What's going on? He cleared his throat. Listen, this might sound strange, but someone called my office today asking about involuntary psychiatric commitment laws, mentioned your name. My stomach tightened. Who? A woman named Victoria. Said she was your wife. She was asking how to file an emergency restraining order. Said you'd been acting paranoid and she was worried you might become dangerous. Wanted to know if she could get temporary control over joint assets if the order went through. I leaned back in my chair, smiling to myself. I see. Marcus, he said, voice low. You okay? She sounded serious. Better than ever, I said. Mitchell, you just saved me a lot of time. He sighed. I probably shouldn't have called, but I got a bad feeling. Promise me you'll watch your back. I'll do more than that. Send me your office address. I owe you one. The second I hung up, my calm cracked into motion. They were ready to make their move. That meant my window was closing. I sped everything up. By morning, every joint account was drained.
The house was only in my name, so I listed it through a cash buyer network for a quick sale. They offered about 65% of market value. We pushed the deal through escrow with a mobile notary. The title company recorded the transfer within 2 days. The mortgage got paid off automatically. They didn't realize the sale had closed until the new owner posted a move-out notice weeks later, right around the time Daniel got arrested. The cars were next, both under my name. I told Victoria mine needed service and hers was going in for a recall check. I drove them both to a dealership that offered instant buyouts, cash in hand. Then came the girls' college funds. That one hurt, but not enough to stop me. The accounts were legally in my name with Olivia and Sophie listed as beneficiaries. I withdrew every cent. Part of me wanted to leave the money untouched for them, but then I remembered Olivia deleting security footage like it was a game, Sophie lying to my face without flinching. I decided I'd set up something later, something they couldn't touch, couldn't manipulate. By Friday, everything they thought they owned was gone. That night, I made dinner, grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, even dessert. The perfect family evening. I poured them sparkling cider, told jokes, smiled like everything was fine. Victoria looked almost relieved, probably thinking her therapy narrative was working. When dinner ended, I hugged Olivia and Sophie, told them I was proud of them, kissed Victoria on the forehead. I'll be working late tonight. Big project to wrap up. Don't stay up too late, she said, touching my arm. You've been working so hard. Daniel texted 10 minutes later. Bro, I'll swing by tomorrow. We should hang. I smiled at the screen. Yeah, let's do that. At 3 in the morning, I stood in the living room with 2 suitcases. One for clothes, one for hard drives and documents. The house was dark, silent. On the kitchen counter sat 4 envelopes, each labeled neatly in my handwriting. Victoria, Daniel, Olivia, Sophie. Inside each was a single photo printed from the tablet. Victoria with Daniel, Daniel's hand on her waist, Olivia in the background of one, smiling like she knew, and one short note in each envelope. I know everything. Goodbye. As I zipped my jacket, my phone buzzed. Victoria. Her message popped up on the screen. Where are you? I didn't answer. I powered the phone off, dropped it in the trash by the door, and picked up my passport. The cab arrived exactly on time. The driver didn't talk much. Perfect. When we reached the airport, I handed him a generous tip and walked straight to my gate. At the terminal, I watched the sunrise through the glass. The sky was pale orange, calm, nothing like the chaos I had left behind. When they called for boarding, I stepped onto the plane without looking back. My suitcase held everything that still mattered. By the time they woke up and found those envelopes, I'd already be in the air, halfway across the world, calm-faced, steady, free. I thought I'd miss them, maybe feel guilt. I didn't. I felt nothing except relief. The fallout started faster than I expected. Even halfway across the world, you can watch a life collapse in real time if you know where to look. Victoria's first move was confusion. She posted a bright selfie the morning after I left. Caption, facing unexpected challenges but staying strong. That lasted about 2 hours. Then the cracks started showing. Her credit cards froze. The joint account bounced payments. By noon, she was posting frantically, asking if anyone had seen me. By evening, the comments turned cold. People started whispering. The vendors she owed money to began tagging her in posts. $23,000 in unpaid invoices, past due orders, bounced checks. I didn't have to lift a finger. The web of her success unraveled itself. 3 days later, the floral shop's social media went dark. A week after that, her assistant posted that the store was temporarily closed. It never reopened. Without credit, without reputation, she couldn't sustain anything. Her former clients, brides, event planners, corporate accounts, started sharing stories about delayed payments and blamed vendor errors. When people smell blood, they don't stop. Victoria's name went from respected to radioactive overnight. Then came Daniel's turn. The city's finance department launched an internal audit after anonymous tips flagged suspicious waste management billing. Within a few months, the audit turned into a full criminal investigation. By early spring, I saw the headline online. City employee arrested for embezzlement and tax fraud. The photo showed Daniel being escorted from his office in handcuffs, looking stunned and sweaty under harsh fluorescent lights. Investigators said they found over 4 years of manipulated contracts and kickbacks linked directly to his accounts. The numbers matched the ones I'd built, only now they were his. Christine, his ex-wife, posted on her profile the same day. Karma came through, she wrote with a coffee emoji. No explanation, just that. It was perfect. Victoria tried to distance herself immediately. She went quiet for a few days, then posted something vague about trusting the wrong people and how betrayal cuts both ways. The comment section tore her apart. Screenshots of her texts and the affair photos started circulating from an anonymous account. My guess? Daniel's phone had auto-synced synced everything to a shared cloud folder with Christine back when they were married. She must have found it and decided payback was overdue. Within a week, Victoria's world went from designer weddings and social events to hiding behind private accounts. Then the girls got caught in the crossfire. Olivia, being 16 and dramatic, made a public post asking for donations after my "dad abandoned us." She played it up. Sad emojis, family photo, the whole performance. It went viral for the wrong reasons. Someone leaked one of the affair photos, showing her in the background, smiling at her mother and Daniel. The internet didn't hold back. Guess college isn't the only thing you were helping with. Don't hide your mom's mess behind sympathy posts. Sophie's fall was quieter but harsher. Her gymnastics team dropped her after parents complained. Too much gossip, too much scandal. They said it was to avoid distraction. She cried in a comment once, writing, "I didn't even do anything," before deleting her account entirely. They moved in with Victoria's mother 2 weeks after Daniel's arrest. I saw the new address pop up on a public record search. 2-bedroom apartment, low rent district, from floral designer to waitress overnight. The irony wasn't lost on me. Watching it all unfold didn't feel like victory. It wasn't joy. It was more like watching the ground finally settle after an earthquake. Destruction, yes, but also silence, calm. Every so often, I'd open social media just to check the aftermath. Victoria in a diner uniform, hair pulled back, tired eyes. Olivia posting nothing for months. Sophie tagged in an old recital photo from better times. The comments were sympathetic now, but empty. People moved on. They always do. As for Daniel, he took a plea deal. 8 to 10 years, maybe less with good behavior. The judge's words were public record. A pattern of deception, fraud, and personal misconduct. That part made me smile. I built a new routine overseas. My work flourished, steady clients, expanding projects. Nobody knew about the past. Nobody asked. I kept my head down, saved my money, lived quiet. I didn't hate Victoria anymore. I didn't love her either. She was just a story that ended. Daniel was a cautionary tale. The girls, maybe someday they'd learn what loyalty really meant. I'd done what I had to do. No revenge fantasy, no dramatic closure, just quiet justice.
The kind that doesn't need applause, because when the shaking finally stops, the ones left standing don't cheer, they just keep walking. Months passed, then a year. My life overseas became routine. Then the emails started coming in. At first they were short, "Please just talk to me." Then longer, "You don't understand what you've done to us." The last one came with a wall of text. Victoria, begging, blaming, and breaking all in one breath. "You ruined our lives. The girls lost everything. You had no right to destroy us like that. You could have just left, but you had to humiliate me. You had to make sure no one would ever look at me the same. Congratulations, you won." I never replied. She sent 3 more over the next month, each one more frantic than the last. Then nothing. A year later, I had to fly back to San Francisco for a business contract. My company had grown. We'd landed a deal with a West Coast research group. I didn't plan on seeing anyone. Just a quick trip, a few meetings, and back home. My flight landed early in the morning. I rented a car, drove toward the city, and realized I hadn't eaten since the night before. The GPS showed a diner just off the highway. I didn't think twice. It wasn't until I parked that I noticed the name. Same old place. The one Victoria and I used to go to years ago, back when we were broke but happy. I almost laughed at the coincidence. Inside, it looked exactly the same. Faded menu boards, cracked booths, the smell of burnt coffee that never really leaves a place like that. I sat at the counter, ordered black coffee, and stared out the window. A minute later, a voice I hadn't heard in years said, "Coffee?" I looked up. Victoria. For a second, I almost didn't recognize her. Her hair was pulled back tight, streaks of gray showing through. The makeup was gone. Her hands were rough from work, her name tag slightly crooked. She looked tired, not just physically, but in that deep way that doesn't go away with rest. She froze when our eyes met. The coffee pot in her hand trembled just enough for a drop to hit the counter. "Marcus," she whispered. I kept my voice even.
black, no sugar. She nodded quickly and poured, her hands shaking the entire time. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Neither did I. I tried to reach you, she said quietly. I emailed, I called, you never answered. I know, I said. She stared at the counter, then back at me. You ruined my life. No, I said calmly. You ruined your own. I just stopped helping you hide it. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she forced a smile. The same fake, practiced one she used to give difficult clients. You think you're better than me now? Living somewhere nice, starting over, pretending none of this happened? I don't pretend. I rebuild. She swallowed hard, nodding like she wanted to argue, but didn't have the energy. The girls, they hate me. They blame me for everything. They're not wrong. That broke her. She turned away, pretending to wipe the counter, but really trying to hide her face. I just sat there, watching the small movements. The way she avoided my reflection in the window. The way her shoulders shook slightly. When she came back with my breakfast, she placed the plate down gently. Eggs over medium, sourdough toast, hash browns with onions, just like before, she said softly. I didn't order this. She forced a small smile. It's what you always got. I stared at the food for a moment. The smell triggered memories I didn't want. The mornings before everything fell apart. The laughter that meant something once. I'm sorry, she whispered, for all of it. For him, for what I did to you. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who'd spent years building a trap around me now stood in front of me in a cheap uniform, serving breakfast for minimum wage. I know, I said finally. She nodded, stepping back, trying to keep her composure. You deserved better, she said quietly. I got better. The diner was quiet, except for the low hum of the ceiling fan and the sizzle of bacon on the grill. I ate slowly, finished my coffee, reached into my wallet. I pulled out $100 bill, folded it once, and placed it under the cup. When she came back, I stood up. That's not for you, I said. It's for who you used to be. She looked down at the bill, then back up, eyes glassy. Marcus, but I was already walking toward the door. Outside, I started the engine and sat there for a moment. I thought about everything. The lies, the betrayal, the slow collapse that followed. Some people spend their whole lives pretending the ground under them is stable, and when it finally cracks, they call it bad luck. But I know better now. Drop a like and subscribe for more stories that prove sometimes the universe knows exactly what it's doing. See you in the next one.